like Zoink Scoob, and welcome to Double Issues. Scooby-Doo is a franchise that with every new installment swings its little baseball bat trying desperately to hit the piñata of quality. There's never any telling how good the next installment is going to be. Could be a rip-roaring adventure, or it could be one of the most uninspiring things you will ever watch. Four hippie teens and their dog travel everywhere from their hometown to Greece to the Kiss Dimension, meeting anyone from werewolves, people dressed as werewolves, and Halsey. These teens solve spooky mysteries in which the monsters they square off against were really the greedy capitalists they met along the way. Your standard children's programming, really. Now, Scooby-Doo shows have only gotten more at odds with each other as time goes on, and this is because everyone has different expectations for what makes a good Scooby-Doo show. The style is something you will notice right off the bat. Some shows and movies try to copy the original style as much as they can. Others are way out there and nothing like the OG. Sometimes the monsters are real, sometimes they aren't. Sometimes you get a clue, and there are monsters and also spy thrillers, but that show wasn't very good and no one knows about it anyway, and that's probably for the best. Characters are either stuck in 1970s archetypes or revitalized to try to be hip. It's Lila's territory, a kangaroo court, a rat race even. But then one shining show managed to make pretty much everyone happy. A light in the darkness, a beacon of hope in the stale franchise, and a sick synth beat. Mr. Incorporated is a stunning cartoon, and a lot of my friends' favorite Scooby cartoon. It has everything. The first thing you'll pick up on is the beautiful visuals. It takes inspiration from the original style while still giving everything a distinctive look. The colors are bold and fun, contrasting the darker, rich, and also beautiful backgrounds. The characters and their relationships evolved as the show progressed. Part mystery show, part teen drama. They grew as people and learned about both who they are and who each other were. It's almost kind of annoying to the other characters, but nothing's perfect. There was an overarching plot that dealt with cosmic horror and aliens, and how the monsters could be real. But the focus of most episodes was the same classic guy in a mask that was getting greedy. Mystery Inc. finished with a climactic confrontation with their ongoing enemy, Professor Pericles, who is now an abomination seeking to destroy the world. But instead, the gang is bonded by their love for each other and pulls through to save the world and their hometown. When they get back home, though, it turns out they are in a different timeline, and since magic never existed, they have all led very different lives. The gang decides to head out together to see this new world, and then, as they drove off together in the sunset to a laugh track, Mystery Inc. was cancelled. This chapter of the Scoobyverse was cancelled. All the memories of years-long mysteries were over. All fans had to look forward to was the next installment. But what show could possibly live up to the epic highs and lows of Mystery Inc.? The drama, the love, the mythos, the incredible style. What could live up to its predecessor indeed?
Why do you have a beard?
Why only my favorite piece of Scooby media ever? Wait, you're serious? Yeah, that's what it says in the video title. Okay, I've watched Be Cool too, and it's good, I enjoy it, but better than Mystery Inc. is a stretch. Well, I've got some points to lay out later, and I don't need to change anyone's mind. Just show them why Be Cool is my favorite, and that what makes it good really works for me. It's the Scooby media I always find myself going back to. I just don't think it's given a fair shot. Fine. But you'll rue the day you put my beloved Mystery Inc. up against its pale successor. Whew. Looks like I got my work cut out for me. Be cool, Scooby-Doo. Fresh from the wound that was the absence of Mystery Inc., there was now the Scooby-Doo show that looked like a Seth MacFarlane original. They were switching back to just the original fake monster of the week plot with no overarching narrative and no relationship or character drama. They changed Daphne's character completely. I'll admit, I did not give the show a chance when it first came out. And why would you? When you go from the beautiful, painterly backgrounds of Mystery Inc. to this butt-ugly show, it's hard to see any appeal. Don't judge a book by its cover, sure. But when you're looking at that cover style the whole time, that's a different issue. And so, I ignored it. There are plenty of other cartoons in the sea, after all, including other Scooby-Toons. It just didn't look very appealing to me. And I didn't want to devote time to it until almost 7 years since the show first came out. Yeah, I was a little behind. It was around this time my love of all things Scooby-Dooby-Doo had been reunited by NerdSync, a great channel, and they have some very good Scoob-related episodes. And though I had watched them before, this time they inspired me to grab some Scooby snacks and become my true form of a little couch potato as I sat my little butt down and poured over a good amount of Scooby-Doo content. Watched a couple of the random movies, some classic episodes, even a couple of my former favorite, Mystery Incorporated. And then, in an HBO Max recommendation box, was the elephant in the room, the red-headed stepchild, and I finally gave in, and clicked my way to the episode selection category. Thus began my wild ride of Be Cool. The animation style It took some getting used to, but that's not to dog on the animators. Even if the characters were odd to me, there's still plenty of great visual gags and action sequences to be found. Once you get past some of the uncanny style, you'll find yourself a delightful time. The members of Mystery Inc. are always characterized different from adaptation to adaptation. Often, they can be boiled down to one or two words, instead of expanding into the various shades of what makes them a character, like in Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. Be Cool instead doubles down on these traits. Everyone is a caricature of a person. For the most part, the classic archetypes of leader, smart one, girl, and lovable duo of Scared and Hungry are all here, but they all still have a lot of heart put into them. The most immediate character difference is Daphne. Now, Daphne's character changes the most from interpretation to interpretation. Her original character was she's a girl, and that wasn't a very inspired personality, so it's not all that shocking. But her character has never changed quite this much before. Sure, she's gone from a damsel to reporter to martial artist, but she's never been a puppeteer, pilot, fake lawyer either. But it works. She has a lot of bits throughout the show, some more endearing than others, but it's fun. It gives Daphne something to do and helps with the zany tone of the show. On paper, she sounds obnoxious, but in practice, her bits really do land. I would say the other big character change I was surprised by was Shaggy. Norvally, he is one of my least favorites. I don't really like comic relief characters all that much. Scooby, of course, gets a pass because he's a dog, and that's hilarious, but no such pass shall be held for Shaggy. Be Cool as a Shaggy, however, turned out to be my favorite character of the show. I thought that this Shaggy had a lot of heart. This Shaggy is the most grounded character personality-wise. He has multiple side stories, trying to understand his fellow gang members, and, I mean, Daphne does too, but that's played for laughs. That lends itself to how I think the gang's friendship in this show are very believable. Something that bothers me in some Scoob media is I can't really figure out why Shaggy and Scooby feel motivated enough to stay, but Be Cool takes an entire episode to explore that in a way that's played for laughs. The gang should always be equally mystery solvers as they are besties. And considering they run into a mystery in every town they roll into, that's a high bar to clear. But Be Cool does it well. Also, I have to mention my favorite reoccurring gag that the show does. It's taken from the OG show where Shaggy and Scooby think fast and put on an elaborate bit to defeat the monster with mind games. Every single time it happens, I am psyched. From obligatory Scooby But It's Snowing episode where they do an entire flipping musical number. It's a little hint hint nudge nudge at Disney, with plenty of woodland creatures pouring out into the scene to guide a confused yet somehow now confident snowman into the woods before promptly getting the heck out of Dodge. And then there's that time they convince a jester-themed villain, voiced by Mark Hamill, that he isn't cut out for showbiz, and he takes the bus all the way home because of it. My eyes were glued to the screen. I was like, how far is he gonna go before he snaps? I was entranced. Hopefully you can pick up what I'm putting down of why Be Cool holds my #1 spot for Scooby-Doo shows. What I think really sets Be Cool Scooby-Doo above the other shows in the franchise for me is above all the comedy. It's the goofs, the gags, the lightheartedness, and unbelievable characters who make believable decisions. Something about a show that features a talking dog as its titular character shines when it can accept all of its comedic elements and not take itself too seriously. It's the comedy that sets Scooby-Doo apart in genres of ghosts and ghouls, even if the horror is what sets it apart from the rest of children's animation. Woo! And speaking of horror, do you hear that loud wind sound? Woo! Holy jinkies, it's a ghost! Quick, to the corridor of hallways! I think I lost it. Better get back to my set where my beloved Snagglepuss statue is. That's better. There's a delicate balance that all Scooby media has to find out how to strike. I mean, there's a talking dog. What's funnier than that? But the story itself is typically a mystery comedy horror mashup. It's how far each of these elements are pushed that defines the tone for the show. Take the comedy away and it can lose some of the charm of Scooby-Doo. It changes the show. The same goes for taking the horror away. And at this point in my life, nothing in any Scooby media scares me, but little me was definitely not a fan of that hypnotist clown. Scooby serves best as an introduction to horror ideas, if anything. I love the horror genre now. I did not when I was a kid. I was a wuss, even by kid standards. I got scared at mean-looking pirates on Halloween. But come to think of it, maybe Scooby-Doo was also responsible for that. But regardless, I still loved Scooby-Doo. I could turn on Boomerang and be confronted with haunted houses and ghosts, and not think of it as horror because there was a talking dog. And I will say, Be Cool is not a scary show at all. It's not trying to be either. The most intimidating villain is probably the Jester, and that's because he's voiced by Mark Hamill, and I've watched BTAS and Batman Beyond Return of the Joker a truly supernatural amount of times. Be Cool is more accurately described as just a mystery comedy, but it still introduces the concept of horror to the viewer. It lets you get comfortable with the ideas. The episode that embodies this the best is Do Not Disturb. Do being spelled the Scooby way, of course. That's because the episode is one big psycho homage. There's a weirdly polite innkeeper who's obsessed with the life and rules his mother set out for him. And also his mother is haunting the inn and attacking people. Be Cool isn't scary, but Psycho is definitely a horror movie. It was a movie that helped set the groundwork for the slasher genre, after all. So while Be Cool isn't scary, It continues the tradition of Scooby-Toons by being an introduction to horror and sprinkling in those horror elements. It lets kids see the supernatural and frightening situations, but reminds the viewer that it's not real. It gives reassurance about the spooky. It lets kids be scared, but face their fear along with the characters and become just a little braver by the time the credits roll. Wait, what's this on the ground here? It looks like the monster left something behind. A Faz token? Seems a little suspicious to me, gang. Also, I just had to mention, as much as people dog on the animation, the wrap-up sequences in the show showcase what I believe are the best animation wrap-ups out of any Scooby-Doo show. Broadly, they tend to include distinctive coloring traits and often will be representative animation-wise about what the episode's villain was based on. For example, in the episode Scream Madonna, Vilma ends up singing the explanation to an expectant crowd. The background color is purple to represent the color of the monster's dress, and there are cuts in the editing to mimic music video stylings. And speaking of wrap-ups, woo! Aha! I knew it was you! Ah, shoot. First, the motive. You think I've overhyped to be cool and wanted to scare me away from the video creation process. Then, I found this Faz token, a symbol of the FNAF videos you've been posting. I was also the only other person here. Oh. I guess that works too. So are you gonna, let me go, or...? No, you can be set dressing for the rest of the video. I still like Mr. Ink. I like almost all the Scooby media I've bothered to watch. Be Cool, Scooby-Doo, I just feel is the best expansion of the premise thus far. When Where Are You emerged in 1969, the characters were meant to be relatable teen archetypes for the time. The best way Be Cool updates itself is by making those characters more of the day, without being so reference-heavy or extremely timely. No, Be Cool capitalizes on more timely humor, like Wouldn't It Be Random If, without feeling like an annoyance. Characters actually have smartphones and use apps. They get to be teens of the 2010s, and not teens of the 1970s transplanted into the modern day. Be Cool, Scooby-Doo means a lot to me. So hopefully the general consensus people have about a show they haven't given a chance changes. It's not the OG, or delving into character dynamics, or even starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, but it brings the joy. It is every bit as funny and animated and good-hearted as any Scooby media can be, sitting amongst the best of them. And to me, it's the very, very best. Yeah, and I would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for you and your meddling video essay.